Watch another film.
Yep.
Another cult film. I don't know. I've been debating this film for years, almost a decade now, about whether it's a good film or a bad film.
Okay.
I don't know.
What is it?
The Rocky Horror Picture Show.
I've never seen this film.
Ah.
I know of its reputation of being a musical.
A very transgressive camp musical.
With Tim Curry.
Tim Curry. So the Rocky Horror Picture Show is one of the... If you live under a rock...
Yep.
Rocky Horror Picture Show is one of the biggest cult phenomenons of film.
All time.
Yes.
Even bigger than The Room.
Yeah.
Yep. Isn't Susan Sarandon in the film?
One of Susan Sarandon's first films, yeah.
Weird.
It's apparently the longest running theoretically released film.
In history?
In history. It is. There's always been a theatre showing it since it first came out in like the mid-70s. It is still being shown. People go to the film dressed as the characters. They'll throw lines at the film. They'll get involved in it, and there's like a hierarchy. Like apparently, if it's your first time seeing Rocky Horror, you're not allowed to dress up as any of the main characters.
Oh yeah.
You've got to be like a hardcore person to dress up as like Tim Curry or one of the other main characters.
Yeah.
So the plot. I'm gonna try and explain it.
Yep.
The film concerns Brad and Janet, who are like all American 50s couple, a power couple, Brad Powers, and they have recently got engaged, and they drove off into the night, and they come across a castle which is owned by Dr. Frankenfurter, played with clear relish by Tim Curry.
Yeah.
He was a transvestite from Transylvania.
Yeah.
And Dr. Frankenfurter's kind of throwing a party because he's recently come across the solution to creating life.
Yeah.
So Dr. Frankenfurter creates like a perfect man for himself.
Is he gay or what?
Don't know.
I don't. What?
He's a transsexual, so he sees himself as being a woman. So
I see.
I suppose it. I don't know. He's just Dr. Frankenfurter. So Dr. Frankenfurter is throwing a party because he's created a man for himself. Meatloaf appears at one point riding a motorcycle.
Yeah.
Because I think he's like a failed experiment or something, or like he's like a former. So some former person in Dr. Frankenfurter's inner circle.
Yeah.
I think that's it. Yeah.
Alright, are the songs any good?
The songs are amazing. The songs, the whole point of the film is that the plot is just a very, very loose thread just to contain loads of weird scenes and the songs.
Yeah.
Well, essentially, the film follows them as they kind of spend the night in this castle, and Brad and Janet begin to give themselves over to kind of pure desire. They're incredibly repressed people, that's why the acting from them is a little bit stilted, but it's probably intentional.
Yeah.
He's like, hi, my name's Brad Powers, good to meet you.
Yeah.
And I'm Janet too. And, they're like typical, like I said, 50s boy and girl, but that's probably the intention. But they're both incredibly repressed people, and Dr. Frankenfurter basically opens up their world to the possibilities of sexual desire.
Yeah.
And the film ends with basically they confront Dr. Frankenfurter about all the crazy things he's been doing.
Yeah.
And he basically turns them all into transvestites, and they all have like a massive orgy in a pool.
Okay.
I can't quite describe it.
No.
And then in addition to that, you've kind of got Dr. Frankenfurter's servants, who could like this kind of ditzy kind of girl who was like a Frankenfurter fan.
Yeah.
And then you've got Riff Raff and Magenta, and Riff Raff is like he's like the hunchback guy.
Yeah.
With like the long hair.
He's played by
Richard O'Brien. Yeah.
From the Crystal Maze.
Yeah. Crystal Maze. Yeah. He plays Riff Raff, and he sings the most famous song for the film, which is Time Warp.
Let's do the time warp.
Yeah.
Everyone's heard that. Yeah.
Everyone knows that song. It turns out that Riff Raff, Magenta, and Dr. Frankenfurter are actually aliens from the galaxy Transylvania.
Yeah.
Or the planet Transvestite in the galaxy of Transylvania.
Yeah.
Or something like that. And Dr. Frankenfurter's only got a very limited amount of time to stay on Earth. So as like a last act before the aliens take him away, he does like this huge like glitzy song and dance. You know, like he goes down like a showman basically in the campiest, most brilliant way possible. And this is after the weird orgy pool scene.
Yeah.
And we all end up sleeping with each other. Dr. Frankenfurter sleeps with Janet. Dr. Frankenfurter sleeps with Brad.
Is there a lot of nudity in the film?
Not really.
Right.
No, it's all kind of left to imagination a little bit. Like the actual orgy at the end is just like an implied orgy. Like we're all in the pool and we're all like hugging and we're all like kissing and like licking each other, and it's really weird.
How did they get Susan Sarandon for this?
Good question.
Yeah.
It's like I said, I can't decide whether Rocky Horror Picture Show is a good film or a bad film.
Yeah.
Because the plot makes no sense whatsoever. The whole plot with Eddie, who was the guy played by Meatloaf, I still don't understand.
Yeah.
Like, he was a guy, I guess, who was like in Frankenfurter's Inner Circle.
Yeah.
Like at first, I thought he was like a failed experiment by Frankenfurter to like, you know, make the perfect man for himself.
Yeah.
But I don't think it is. I think it's like a juvenile delinquent who Dr. Frankenfurter took in, and
yeah.
Because I have this like weird German scientist who Brad and Janet were going to go see. That's where they were driving. We were going to go see this chap with him off the beaten track. It turns out this weird German scientist and Dr. Frankenfurter are like mortal enemies or something.
Yeah.
And he knew Eddie, and that whole subplot makes no sense whatsoever.
Yeah.
The key to Rocky Horror Picture Show, I think, is just to kind of go along with it.
Yeah.
And get drunk while watching it.
Yeah.
That's the best way to enjoy the film. But I said that the songs themselves are really good.
Yeah.
I think there's maybe 2 or 3 too many.
Yeah.
Because they sound... The 2 or 3 too many do sound a little bit samey.
Yeah.
But the big ones are amazing. Like Time Warp and Damn It Janet, or There's a Light. One of them's out, Sweet Transvestite.
Yeah.
And Tim Curry's introduction to the film is just absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
It's after, so we've got an amazing string of songs. It's after Time Warp.
Yeah.
And Brad and Janet are kind of like back and they're like, whoa, what's going on here, Janet? And then they kind of back into the elevator as Dr. Frankenfurter comes down, and Tim Curry's kind of tapping along in his big diamond stiletto shoes, and he swoops around and he starts singing Sweet Transvestite, and he throws off the cloak he's wearing like, you know, the fishnet stockings, Tim Curry makes a surprisingly good woman.
Really?
He plays it so well. And he manages to run in incredibly high heels as well.
Yeah.
Which, from what I'm told, is quite an impressive feat to do.
Yeah.
It's a film that, like I said, I don't quite know how to describe it.
Yeah.
I think it's really entertaining.
Oh, would you give it out of 10? Is it the famous question mark out of 10 that I gave some at one time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The infamous question. It's a question mark out of 10.
Yeah.
No, like, I think Rocky Horror is like an 8 out of 10 film.
Yeah.
Maybe a 7 out of 10 film.
What I gave a question mark to now?
I don't know.
Oh well, it was something. It was one of them so bad it's good.
Yeah.
But it wasn't. Oh, I can't remember what it is.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I don't know whether Rocky Horror is so bad it's good.
Yeah.
Because there are some genuinely really good elements to it. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's a good film.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the plot makes no sense and it's all over the place.
Yeah.
There's basically no pacing to it.
Yeah.
As a stage play, it probably works better. As a stage musical, when I was watching the film last night, I could really see it on stage and working on stage. It'd be great. All characters pop in and out of scenes, and like when Meatloaf appears, he comes out of nowhere. So in the stage play, like, oh, what's going on here?
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like, I don't know whether it's bad.
Yeah.
Because there's certainly elements that would make it bad. But then at the same time, there are elements that I think make it good.
Yeah.
Generally, the consensus of the film now is positive.
Yeah.
When it came out, it was kind of ridiculed and panned.
Laughed at.
Laughed at, yeah. I could completely see why. But if you like camp, and you kind of, if you give yourself to the world of Rocky Horror, you'll get a lot of enjoyment out of it. But for me, I forgot to mention Charles Gray's in it as well.
Who's Charles Gray?
He played Blofeld in Diamonds Are Forever.
Oh, yeah.
He's the narrator of the film, and he's great. He is so fun.
Yeah.
He's like, and one night, Brad and Janet went out on an evening cruise. Being raining, though, you would have thought they would have checked that the tire was okay. But being young people, they wouldn't want it to ruin a pleasant evening.
Yeah.
He talks like that all the time. But for me, what holds it all together is Tim Curry as Frankenfurter. He's so entertaining. He just completely is loving the role. And probably Tim Curry has never, ever hit the heights of Frankenfurter ever again.
Not even in Congo, where he played like a German scientist, and he talked like this, and there's a bit where he fights a monkey.
What else has Tim Curry been in?
That film where he played a clown, It.
Oh, It, yeah. Oh, yes.
He's in all sorts of stuff. Wasn't he a Bond villain?
Or
in a Bond film?
No, I don't think he is.
Oh no! What did they do with Spectre? Come on.
Yeah, Spectre, get Tim Curry as your villain.
Yeah.
I kind of love Tim Curry. I have an appreciation of the camp, and Tim Curry is kind of like one of the campest actors ever. But he, like I said, he's loving it. You can tell Tim Curry is completely immersed in this role. I think I read this a few years ago, and I can't remember if it's true or not, but I think on the stage version, Tim Curry did play Frankenfurter for a little bit for a run, which, like, you probably won't get any better Frankenfurter than Tim Curry. You can completely see why it's a cult film.
Yeah.
There's so many elements to it, you know, the songs and the weirdness of it, and just how out there the plot is.
Yeah.
It's also filled with references to King Kong as well, which is random. I think two of the songs make mention to Fay Ray.
Yeah.
So like in, I'm trying to think of an example. The first one does, and then in the opening song, Science Fiction Double Feature, which is an amazing song, because the film opens up with like a pair of lips, just singing this kind of weird song, make mention to Fay Ray. And then in the last song, where Tim Curry is about to initiate the orgy, he's like, I saw Fay Ray wearing that dress, and I cried, because I wanted to be dressed that way. Just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Just ridiculous, but Tim Curry manages to sell it. Yes, and then at the end, the creation that Frankenfurter made, Rocky, this kind of perfect man, like, steals one of the women and is like climbing up the RKO logo.
Yeah.
Because RKO famously made King Kong.
Yeah.
And he's kind of like climbing up the antenna like in King Kong. So it's filled with random references to King Kong and old, like, glitzy Hollywood movies from like the 30s and 40s.
Yeah.
It's, if you've not seen it, watch it with somebody.
Yeah. Who has seen it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And get drunk.
And get drunk.
That's the best way to watch film. I first watched this film with my grandma.
Oh yeah.
Because apparently when it first came out, my mum, my grandma, and my mum's aunt, we all went to go see the film. The stage production, and we absolutely loved it. So I was thinking, oh, you know, this is going to be like a typical musical thing. Okay, I'll go along with it. I wasn't quite expecting like orgies and transsexuals, and honestly wasn't expecting it at all.
Yeah.
And then the second time I didn't like it at all the first time I saw it. And then I watched it again when I was in uni.
Yeah.
And I was probably drunk one evening, and I watched it with a couple mates, and I was like, oh, okay, I'm starting to get this a little bit more now. And then I watched it last night. I was like, oh, right, yeah. Got it, okay, I get it. But like I said, I think the jury is still out whether Rocky Horror is a good film or not.
No. Is it better than Rocky?
Yeah. Yeah, it's better than Rocky, yeah. Can you think of any films like that? Where they're not exactly so bad they're good, but they're not good either. They're kind of awkward.
I would say Bamboozled.
Oh yeah.
That Spike Lee film, where it's not so bad it's good, but there are so many bad elements.
Yeah.
There are loads of films like that.
Can you think of any?
I can't think of any off the top of my head now. But yeah, it sounds like something I should check out.
I would recommend watching it. Let's say if you get drunk during the film, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But you kind of have to give yourself to it, and it's so of the time.
Yeah.
And especially with some of the actors here, I said Richard O'Brien is really fun as Riff Raff, kind of a weird butler who talks like this through the whole film. And he's got a really good high voice as well. Like he sings time like, it's astounding, time is fleeting. And then he goes into like this, well, I remember. He goes into like this really high screechy rock and roll voice. Susan Sarandon is also funny in the film as Janet. She has like one of the raunchiest songs in the film where basically she's had sex with Frankenfurter, and she was a virgin before that.
Yeah.
Which all the other characters find really funny, because presumably we have orgies all the time in Frankenfurter's castle. And she sings this because then she has sex with Rocky, who's the Frankenfurter creation. And she sings a song called Dirty. You know, I wanna be dirty. Touch me, touch me, touch me, touch me, touch me. I wanna be dirty. And kind of like Susan Sarandon's doing this. What? Yeah. So I said all the songs are classics.
Yeah.
Let's say the best cinematic moment, I guess, is when he kind of breaks out the stage version. Is the last song that Frankenfurter sings about. He sings the famous line, "Don't dream it, be it," and he's taking it like a true diva. He's taking in this crowd of people, and he's soaking in the showbiz and the glamour. It's one of the until the Apple.
Yeah.
It was the campest film I'd ever seen.
Is it as good as the Apple?
I don't know.
It's not as entertaining.
Rocky Horror is probably more entertaining than the Apple.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh right, I'll have to check it out then. The Apple's great.
Sexy Apple. Juju Apple.
Yeah.
I love the Apple.
Yeah.
But the Apple, when you see Rocky Horror, you'll get what I mean when I said in our review of the Apple that it's basically the film. Rocky Horror is the film that the Apple wants to be.
Yeah.
But with a sci-fi theme. I know there are some. Well, I think with the Apple, like, it's entertaining kind of because it is so bad.
Yeah.
Rocky Horror will just kind of have your head scratching more. Like, is it good?
Yeah.
Is it bad? I don't know. But I would recommend seeing it.
Yeah.
On a normal film level, I would probably give it something like 8 out of 10.
Yeah.
But yeah, 8 out of 10. I think it's a fair rating if I was forced to rate it, because I'm getting to the point now where I don't really want to rate films anymore.
No. Me neither. Let's stop that.
Let's stop rating films because it's hard to do,
and it's pretty pointless.
Yeah. Because like how do you rate a film like Rocky Horror?
Yeah.
You just can't. Like, so we'll make it now. This is a legendary moment. We're gonna stop.
No more ratings.
No more ratings.
Yeah.
Yeah. Rocky Horror is the one that stopped for ratings.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you've not seen it, see it. Apparently, though, you've not seen the film until you've seen it in a cinema with an audience who loves it.
Yeah.
And I would love to go to one. I've seen one with The Room.
Yeah.
And The Room, but when I went to the screening of The Room, I'd only seen it once and I was mildly entertained by it.
Yeah.
But when I saw it with an audience, I was like, oh my god, this is the best, this is amazing.
Yeah.
So I would love to see Rocky Horror with an audience who clearly, loves the film.
Yeah.
So yeah, check out Rocky Horror if you've not seen it yet, because it's quite a ride. Are you infused by what I've said about it?
I may go see it, yes.
Yes, yeah.